too cold. Can't say anything. Oh, my phone. Oh, hashtag something about please tap. Something about on your birthday. It is 32 degrees out, which is freezing. All right. I haven't said what's up, crew, yet. What's up, crew? Good morning. It is Sunday for me, Monday for you. Today is Motivation and Mobility Monday. I'm definitely going to do a very specific session today. So if you are looking to improve your hip mobility, stay tuned. That will be today's segment. Quick reminder before we get into those two things, we are at 281 subscribers. That is phenomenal, like so awesome. I was hoping to get to 200 by the end of the year. We are possibly gonna get to 300 by the end of the year. Getting to 300, we're gonna do 300 pound grace. I'm gonna do it as soon as possible after reaching 300. Definitely not gonna do it spur of the moment like I did with the double unders, because that's a little bit of a different workout. Double unders can be seen as a warm up. 300 pound grace, not so much a warm up. That needs its own set of warm up still situations. On my way to Rosalina Cafe. Some of you might remember that is my go-to Sunday breakfast burrito. Yes, I'm trying to lose weight. No, I cannot stop eating breakfast burritos. It is just too important to my life. And if I go by Craig's rules, it's Sunday. Calories don't count on Sundays, I think. Or is it Saturdays? Craig, which one is it? Because I really need to know. I will catch you in the garage. All right, this madness just went down. I invited Colin over to christen the fire pit that I got from Rogue and maybe have a beer and chat, because we haven't hung out in a while. And he called me and he's like, what if we started at 7? I have something in mind. And I said, what do you have in mind? And he said, well, we live pretty close to each other, so why don't we do a workout and start earlier and run from house to house and do movements in between each? Okay. So I just created this madness. Not sure if that's what he had in mind at all, but we'll find out, huh?
Nothing to it but to do it. Random ass chipper. I don't even know that's a chipper.
That's a chipper. There's an end. Alright, there's a 30-second countdown. You want to start the thrusters, or you want me to start the thrusters?
I'll start the thrusters. 2, 1, go!
Should have turned on some music. What an idiot.
She got a wheelie.
Steaming.
Yeah.
Oh, so sick. Oh yeah, look at all that steam. Oh, it's so sick. Well, that's a pretty good workout. What do you do after a 30-minute workout that includes way too much fitness and destroys you and your soul?
Yo, this shit smells weird.
You try, this never works. You try Tabasco jelly beans or beer jelly beans. Colin decided he
seriously smells like a gym bag funk.
You can smell it.
Isn't that?
That smells like a beer.
That's too weird. Like
a beer.
kind of a funky
I'm
beer.
afraid to smell this one. Colin didn't want to try the Tabasco, so I let him do the beer. I'm gonna try the beer too, but I'm gonna start with
Yeah, I'm going for it.
a little Tabasco sauce.
This just smells weird. Yeah, it doesn't really taste like a beer.
That tastes like Tabasco sauce.
It tastes like a super yeasty jelly bean. Weird.
You know what? I like it. Here. It's actually good.
I don't know
Not
about
that my voice didn't sound like it, but
it tastes more like what it's trying to be. That's just funky.
this just tastes like bad chocolate or something.
Yeah. That tastes like Tabasco, but that's just like a very yeasty jelly bean. Which, it's beer. Yeast. I guess that works, huh?
Well, that was not bad, but it was bad.
Huh?
I taste beer now, though. Like the aftertaste. Like
Alright.
I just finished off a Pilsner. I'll be back with you in a minute. Shoot on the dirty sack.
Basically.
All right, Cullen just left. It's awesome to have him hang out today. It's been a while since I've seen him, or at least had time to just chill and, you know, talk about whatever. We used to see each other basically every day because I worked within his team, and it was for a year and a half that we worked together. We got a cool little workout in. Today was supposed to be a rest day, and we ended up getting a little bonus workout for this week, which probably means I should rest tomorrow. But then again, maybe not. See how I feel. But here's your Mobility Monday for today. We're gonna focus on something that I got a comment about, and that's low back pain. So recently I started complaining a little bit about my low back being stiff or being in pain. And someone commented, how do you know that's not an injury? Or how do you distinguish between an injury or just soreness or tightness? And my only answer to that is really, a low back injury will put you down. I had one 2-3 years ago, and basically my SI joint just sort of like came off kilter and sent me to the ground. I was doing a front squat, hit the bottom, started to stand up and felt a super pinch. Immediately dropped the weight and like kneeled. The rest of the weekend I was crawling from place to place. It was a very, very bad weekend. And really that's the difference between an injury for the lower back or just tightness. You will be floored by a back injury. But for the most part, if your lower back hurts or you feel tight, it's typically not your lower back. Your core is the center of everything in your body. It receives feedback from everything else. So if your upper back hurts, your lower back's gonna feel it. If your hamstrings hurt, your lower back's gonna feel it. If your toes hurt, your lower back's gonna feel it, because you're gonna constantly compensate in the way you walk, sit, and lay down. So here are some things that can help you out. If you experience lower back pain or soreness, here are the top things that I'd say to try before moving on to anything else. Number one, roll out your hamstrings. Your pelvis is held in place by your quads and your hamstrings, okay? And your lower back is there to make sure, your lower back muscles, your erector muscles are there to make sure your spine stays in a good position. So while your hips are in this balanced position by your hamstrings and your quads, if one of them is tighter than the other, then it's gonna pull you into this position, which is gonna make it harder for your lower back or your erectors to stabilize. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a chiro, I can't tell you exactly the reason why that might be, or how to distinguish between a hamstring tightness and a quad tightness, but what you can do is trial and error. So rolling out your hamstrings, if that immediately helps, you're good to go. But what I would focus on is right there between the glute and the hamstring insertion, typically where most of that tightness is felt. From there, go to the hip flexor and use a big ball. I have a lacrosse ball from RockTape and a spiky ball, which are great, but sometimes you need something bigger. I also have the Supernova from Mobility Wad. It's, I think, probably about 4 to 5 inches in diameter, and you're gonna lay that right on the hip flexors, lay down on the ground, and then you're just gonna put pressure on it. To put more pressure, you just lift the knee off the ground with your leg bent, and then just sort of small little rotations and oscillations. From there, move on to a voodoo floss, and you're gonna do the same thing right in that area that you just rolled on both sides, and you're gonna wrap about 80% tightness. If you do both sides at the same time, you will notice that your squat has just dramatically improved, and I can't really tell you why. I think it's just the compression. Do 10 squats and then take your hip through some range of motion, either stepping over a hurdle back and forth or getting down on hands and knees and squatting or mimicking a squat back and forth. And then the last thing you're gonna do after you've provided some mobility, you're gonna try to stabilize a little bit. Air squats are great. Some split squats can also help. This is gonna help strengthen those mobile joints so that you're not just walking around with loose joints, and then also so that you don't just immediately go back to a tight position. One great thing to do is also sit in a squat for as long as possible. Kelly Starrett put out this video a while ago, and this does not need to be a perfect squat. This can be a very slouch squat or something like a relaxed position. This is gonna curve the lower back and relax everything there. So those are the things that you can address to try to minimize lower back pain. If you do all of those things and you still have some pain, either address your calves or your peroneals or even lower part of your quads. And if that still doesn't work, just let it relax. If I learned anything from my back injury, is that if you poke too much, you actually make it worse. If you tighten too many more muscles around that area, you're actually doing more harm than good. So do what you can, and if it feels good, keep doing it. If it starts to feel like crap, stop doing it. So that's the Mobility Monday. I just talked for 8 minutes. I hope that I can cut that down to less.